Hi everyone, welcome back to SGDA Student Game Showcase. We're here with Tower Genn from VGDC at UCI. It's Jason again, the president of SGDA, and I'm pretty sure you're sick of hearing that now. And I'll introduce Anuj again with the team. Anuj, if you could introduce yourself, please.
Sounds good. Hey there, folks. This is Anuj, webmaster for SGDA. Similarly, I'm sure that you're hearing that at this point of the day, but we're here with the team behind Tower of Genn. If you'd like to introduce yourselves, yeah.
All right, I'll just go first. My name is Liam Burley. I'm the director on Tower of Genn.
I'm Cyrus Lee. I'm one of the programmers.
I'm Will. I'm the programming lead.
And I'm Elijah, the artist lead.
Awesome. I think with that, we can begin gameplay, and I'll begin with my questions. So, in terms of the team, where are you all located? Where are you calling in from? You mentioned VGDC UCI, but...
Yeah, we're all based in SoCal. One of us is not in SoCal right now, though.
Is that me?
Yeah,
No.
I'm currently studying abroad. I'm in Berlin, Germany, but I'm usually in SoCal. Just this year.
Congratulations. That sounds really fun. I've never done a study abroad myself, but this is really cool. So, what were the team's roles during development? How did that go?
Yeah, so we've mostly split the roles into, some pretty broad categories, because the team's not like super big. So obviously, we have Will and Cyrus here who are the programmers, and Elijah who's the art lead. But so we've just segmented into, UI, design, programming, audio, and art. But we all kind of operate within each other's roles a little bit too. Like Cyrus is often involved in the design conversation so that we can kind of sync up the design and programming pretty well. And then I think, Elijah, you're sometimes involved with the programming department too, right?
A little bit, yeah. Mostly with shader work previously, but a couple of code bits.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, no, as student projects are very... You can have one defined role. I was a lead producer on my capstone. I did not just do production.
Yeah. Like my stated role is I'm just like the lead designer on the project, right? But because I'm also the director on the project, I'm making sure the art is maintaining the vision. I'm reviewing the UI. I'm making sure audio gets some work done. I'm doing a lot of production work. I hate doing production work, but unfortunately, it's just a part of the gig.
Especially as a student, otherwise, the game will keep being developed forever, which sounds great until you realize you have other things going on.
Yeah, still got classes, unfortunately, to attend to.
How did the game get started? Where did you get the idea from?
Yeah, so the game was started under the pitch system at VGDC at UCI, which is like the system where you can pitch a game to the entire club and people can join it. So that's where I met Will. That's where I met Cyrus. I met Elijah before that, but that's also where he joined on the project. I think half the current team came from that original pitch. And the idea that I had brought, which has changed tremendously over time, the influence of Cyrus and Will and Elijah on this game cannot be understated, of course. But the original idea was I was playing a lot of Tetris 99 at the time and also a game called Dorfromantik. And I was really inspired by how simple and calm the gameplay of Dorfromantik was, despite not being terribly challenging. And so I wanted a kind of building experience that you got through Tetris, but with the same sort of vibes as as Dorfromantik.
I do really like the music here. I think it reminds me almost of Breath of the Wild, the ambient music in that game. And that really helped. Granted, I hope there's no Guardian theme in this because I would have cried if that happened. But it doesn't. I'm giving you ideas.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
But definitely, that makes a lot of sense. How has the idea kind of changed and evolved throughout development, or has it stayed pretty consistent?
It definitely has changed a lot over time. I remember, Cyrus, do you remember when you first joined the project and you talked about the TNT block?
Oh yeah, I do remember that. That was a really
Arguably.
long old idea.
Yeah, and yet it keeps coming back every now and then. The original idea that I had was just like kind of limited to just stacking blocks. So, a lot of what changed about the idea was due to having these like fantastic team members coming aboard and feeding a lot of ideas into what we could do with the game. And for a while, it was just a here's a block stacking game. And I don't think it was until we went on hiatus for a couple quarters this past year, and this is our first, or this is our like second quarter back, where I finally solidified where exactly the game was trying to go. And now we're sort of working on a narrative and sort of like a bit of a meta narrative and like kind of a social statement as well about the game. That's all in progress, but we're really trying to mix like the ideas of like human-made things and nature's influence over human-made structures, and that wasn't even remotely a part of the original idea. That just sort of came out of the elements that we had designed from like the art ideas that Elijah had come up with, and also just some of the block ideas that like some of our other teammates had thought of that aren't here right now. But yeah, a lot of evolution happened over time.
Every game idea we have like, oh, this is going to be great, and then you look at it a little bit more, and it change, and you look at where you end up, and you're like, yeah, this is not. I don't know how we got here.
Yeah,
from this.
Yeah.
I think for my next question, I'd like to ask a question that I probably should have opened with, but what is Tower of Genn?
Yeah, great question. Tower of Genn is a light strategy puzzle game in which you stack blocks in order to make the tallest tower possible. It is the sort of narrative that we're working on right now that I had just mentioned. It's a statement about like endless growth. We're working on a couple systems that will carry that message a little better, but it's sort of a respecting that endless growth is just something that humans will drive towards, but also a criticism of it slightly. And the criticism is what we're sort of working on right now. That's in development, but like one of the elements that we have right now that is like about that is when you crush nature with your man-made objects, you get harmed in certain ways.
And like we can see that idea of like endless growth kind of also in the games industry right now with like, oh, a game didn't literally blow up Steam and break it, so like now the studio's suffering layoffs.
Yeah.
It's relevant to so many things in so many depressing ways, especially like as students.
Yeah.
That is, I'm really interested in seeing like how that's implemented, because I do. In Tetris, like the blocks disappearing is like you want that to happen, but it sounds like that's going to be a negative side or like a side effect, a negative consequence, rather than the goal of the game.
Right. Yeah, one of the systems we're working on to like encourage players to actually enjoy playing the game, because totally valid thing that you just brought up right now that like has been irking me a little bit is I have this like idea of criticizing endless growth, but at the same time that's like very much a thing players want to do, so you want to sort of encourage that player fantasy a lot of just like clearing the lines, keeping going, getting a higher and higher score or whatever, all those things, right? But since the game is sort of supposed to be criticizing those things, it was a really big struggle for the longest time to figure out how do I actually keep the player motivated to play our game while criticizing kind of the idea that they even want to play it. It's been really interesting.
I imagine something like Nier Automata, Undertale to an extent, those like Inscription, that's another one. I was like, there's a third one that I'm remembering, but Inscription doesn't have that much of like a criticizing you for playing narrative. It's more like a weird meta story happening, which I really liked. What would you say was the hardest part of development throughout the game?
I think each of us are gonna have an interesting answer, so I'm interested to hear what my other teammates think. But at least for me, organizing the team, of course, and like those design problems I mentioned of like just trying to make sure that the game had a cohesive vision while also giving players fun things to do was pretty difficult. But production timelines and making sure people stay organized and we're completing things on time have always been rough.
I guess I'll go next. For me, I would say the hardest part was probably early on in development. For both me and Will, this was one of our like first projects at UCI. At least like when we started working on this project, it was both our first year in VGDC, the Video Game Development Club, and so we're both like relatively new to Godot, the engine we're using for this. And during like early development, we ended up rewriting the code base like basically twice. Like there are like moments where we rewrote more than half the game's code, and while we were still figuring things out. But overall, it's been a really awesome learning process, learning how to work with Godot, and also a lot of like other development tools. Like we've been using GitHub for hosting our code to collaborate, and also like learning all the development tools that are available on that was pretty fun.
Yeah, to add to that a little bit, the starting out was part of the struggle too, having to rewrite the code base, but like the internal structure specifically of like how do we want to store the blocks in the tower, how do we want to like track that, and especially as Liam mentioned, the game changed over time, new requirements from design, new ways you want to store and place the blocks requires to kind of really rethink, okay, we have this new thing from design, how do we want to implement this in the game without like drastically changing our code base has been part of the challenge too, and also part of the fun for me personally.
It's both a challenge and also fun. I imagine.
And in terms of like art and such, we've actually gone through essentially like 3 major redesigns until we've landed on the current style you see here. The last one was much more Wind Waker, as people usually said, but now that we have this style, it's still sort of difficult adhering to and maintaining exactly what the vision is now.
Awesome. Most proud of with the game so far?
I'm really proud of just how simple and fun it is. During some of our boothing events, we had people that would like sit down and play for an hour, and then they would get up, they'd be like, oh, that was really fun, and then they'd come back and play another hour. It was really cool to see. So I'm really proud of how much fun people have been having, and but honestly, I think what I'm more proud of is just how skilled everyone in the team has been. It's just been a delight to see everyone work, and every time something goes in the game and it works out, and it's like, oh, it's my team is so cool, and I love them all so much. It's so cool to see.
It is really like I don't know if I can imagine being like, I respect solo devs a lot. I can't imagine that being me because I like working with game devs so much that I'm like, I want to do this with other people.
Yeah, I used to solo dev. All of my games had been solo before this one. And ever since I started this one, I haven't solo devved a single game, I don't think.
Yeah. It's just fun. It's like hanging out with friends. And you're doing something, you're like having something productive almost.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. As we come up on time, I'd like to ask our final wrap-up question, which is there anybody that you'd like to shout out, give a special mention to, anything like that? The floor is yours.
Anyone want to go first before I do?
I don't know if you were already going to shout out this person, but I want to shout out Teah, our UI designer who joined really recently. She's been doing a lot of awesome work, and basically every element of UI on the screen you see was designed by her or some of her UI colleagues. But yeah, our game's had a huge UI overhaul since like our last development, like our last quarter we developed. It's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, I'd personally really like to shout out Teah as well, but also don't undersell yourselves, guys. Will and Cyrus, this game would not exist without you guys. I like
Agreed.
the way you guys carry the code base is unbelievable. And also just, shout out you to Elijah for carrying the art style. Dude, our entire team, this game would not exist without our entire team. So everyone who couldn't make it to this interview, I also want to shout out. And also the Godot Foundation. Shout out Godot.
Yes.
The best engine ever. Oh, and VGDC, because without them,
Yes.
I would not have met most of the people on my team.
Awesome. With that, we will thank you to the team for coming to speak with us. We have our last showcase slot F before we move on to showcase slot G, which is immediately afterwards. But thanks to the Tower of Genn team for coming to speak with us today. Keep an eye out on the game. We've posted it to our Summit Discord, and yeah, we'll see you guys in a bit.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.